Well, folks, I'm still battling whatever crud this is that I have at the moment. I don't have COVID. I don't have the flu, so that's good news. But I want to thank everyone out there who has reached out to check on me and wish me well. I am doing better. I'm feeling better at the moment. Starting to get my voice back just a little bit. Hopefully, I'll be able to make it through this video, or you'll just hear me do a really good Red Fox impression one way or the other. But again, thank you guys so much for reaching out to me. I'm taking my medicine, taking my vitamins, and trying to get back in the game. And this story here was one that was too funny to pass up because a lot of times when my team is sending me stories, they'll send me stories to consider doing a story about or a video about. And a lot of times I'll see them and I'll say to myself, there's no way that's real. That's got to be satire. I'll think that anyway. And then I've scrolled past videos and stuff or news stories time and time again going, yeah, that's got to be AI or it's got to be BS. But this story here we thought was satire, but it turns out to be true. And it is one of the most cringeworthy stories you could ever imagine. There's a guy named Derek Anderson. He's running for Congress in the 7th District of Virginia. That seat was vacated after Abigail Spanberger decided to run for governor. And so he's running against Eugene Vindman. And this guy has a whole lot of, MAGA stances, and he realizes those aren't popular with women. So he does what every politician does, which is try to look more relatable to the voters by posting a family photo. The only problem is he posted a family photo with a family that wasn't his. Because turns out he's single. He doesn't have a family, but he posed with this family just to try to make himself more relatable. I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. I'm reading here from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Let me take a drink before I read this because this is about my second or third take on this video, and every time I read this, I get cracked up and start laughing, and then I need a drink of water. This is great. Well, it ain't great. It's just hilarious. But anyway, new reporting from the New York Times exposes desperate Derek Anderson for posting pictures he wants political groups to use in ads on his behalf with a family. The plot twist, it's not Anderson's family. Oh, God, I'll never make it through this one. As the New York Times notes, the proliferation of women and families in campaigns this season underscores the importance for Republican candidates to be able to show off a family-friendly, relatable side to voters, especially women who increasingly say the issue of abortion is central to their decision this fall. It's no surprise that Anderson is using this deceitful tactic given his anti-choice agenda. Just this week, Derek Anderson once again praised the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, doubling down on his belief that politicians should be allowed to ban abortion. And this here is from Lauren. She's a DCC spokesperson. She said, Derek Anderson is so desperate to mask his anti-abortion views and look like a family man that he's posing for fake family pictures. He's clearly not above misleading Virginians and definitely can't be trusted to represent them in Congress. Goes on to say here, the campaign of Derek Anderson, a former Army Green Beret who is running in a competitive race for an open seat in Virginia's 7th District, has posted footage of him posing with a woman and her 3 daughters in what looks like a photo that might be used for an annual holiday card. In another scene filmed for potential use in the campaign ad, Mr. Anderson is seated around a dining room table with the same woman and 3 girls chatting and smiling. But the people are not relatives. They are the wife and children of a longtime friend. Mr. Anderson, who announced this month that he was engaged, does not have any children on his own. His campaign website said he lives with his dog and does not display any of the photos. The footage has not yet been used in any ad. It can be found on Mr. Anderson's official YouTube page and is also posted on a website paid for by the National Republican Campaign Committee, where the organization provides resources for independent outside groups that are not allowed to communicate directly with campaigns, but can use the information posted there to guide their paid media strategy. The proliferation of women and families in campaigns this season underscores the importance of Republican candidates to be able to show off a family-friendly, relatable side to voters, especially women who increasingly say that this issue of abortion is central to their decision this fall. You know, folks, I got to be honest with you. I always cringe at politicians and their family photos because 9 times out of 10, I realize that it's just that. It's just put out there to try to soften their image. But then a lot of times you just wind up with a dysfunctional family like the Boberts and or the Trumps. I mean, I think the Trumps are definitely a dysfunctional family. And so those kind of photos have always made me cringe anyway. But in this guy's case, they're fake. They're not real. That's not his family. The guy's engaged to be married, but he's got no kids of his own. But he couldn't just say that to his voters. He had to create this image to appeal to voters. And he's flat out lying to them. He's flat out misleading them. And the funny part is now when he tries to debate Eugene Vindman, his opponent, Vindman's always going to be able to bring that receipt. And I'm so glad that he did right here. Take a look.
This issue of Derek lying about my record. He's lying about my record just like he's lying and trying to fool the voters in this district about his fake family. I mean, if you are going to lie about something as fundamental as your family, you're going to try to portray yourself as a family man so people like you. How can you be trusted on more serious topics? It's unacceptable. And you know why he's doing it? I'll tell you why. Because he wants to distract from the important issues in this race, like abortion, like reproductive freedom.
You know, it is unacceptable, and he is doing it to distract. And I'm sure he was sitting there and thinking, well, I can't go out there and tell him the truth. I can't go out there and tell him that I'm a guy that's just engaged and I'm going to have a family one day because J.D. Vance is over here demonizing childless cat ladies. They're demonizing people who don't have children. So what did he do? He went out and made a fake photo. But the sad part is, in Maga land, that won't lose that guy one voter. And I know I've said this a lot here on the channel here lately, but I think we need to talk about it more. People in my part of the world are taught to believe that Democrats are the absolute scum of the earth. They believe that. They've been taught that since childhood. And the politicians and the ministers in this part of the world have done such a good job of creating that fake narrative. It's a bullshit narrative, but they've created it nonetheless. And they pushed it out there and people buy it and believe it. So they'll see this guy, and when you point it out to them, they'll admit that's fucked up. They'll look at that and go, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. He lied about that. But they're more fearful of what Eugene Vindman would bring because he's a Democrat. And if Eugene Vindman was anything else, if he was an independent or another Republican running, they might go on over to him. But they won't because he's got that D by his name. And in the South, it don't mean Democrat, it means devil. That's what it means to them. And so it's just so ridiculous to me. I've talked about this so many times on the channel, but we used to live in a time where politicians were held more accountable, and moves like this would absolutely destroy your career. And it still should. That should be the end of him, but it's not, because the Republican Party will embrace this kind of thing. And then they sit back and they wonder why they're losing. They wonder where the big red wave is. Why hasn't it came? It's because your ideas are ancient, because the things that you've pushed for so long are becoming more and more irrelevant. And instead of coming up with a fresh set of ideas, something that people can get behind, you've latched on to this reality show, game show host who absolutely ran this country in a damn ground and now is coming back for another shot at it, who says he wants to be dictator on day one and terminate the Constitution. They go for all of those things, all because they're so terrified of what a Democrat might do. A lot of people around here will tell you that they don't really like him. A lot of people around here will say they don't really like Donald Trump, but they're going to vote for him anyway because they're scared of what a Democrat might do. And old Derek Anderson, yeah, they'll admit that was bullshit. They'll admit that was a stupid thing to do, but they're so afraid of what the Democrat might do that they'll side with it anyway. But then they sit back and they wonder why that we're not taking them seriously anymore. How can we? How can we take them seriously when this is the type of stuff that they give a pass to, and this is the type of stuff they embrace? As long as they continue to embrace this kind of stuff, then they're going to continue to lose. And I want them to continue to lose because I want to see our society move forward, and it can. That's why you got to vote straight down the line, Democrat, every step of the way, and don't let people around here fool you into believing that Democrats are devils, because they're not. Well, folks, I want to thank you so much for sticking with me on this video. I know as I go, my voice starts to go. And so that's about all I've got in me for the moment. But I thank you guys so much for supporting what it is that I do. And if you've not already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Over 50% of the people that listens to me on a daily basis still haven't hit that button. So if you did, it would really help shoot us up there. We're trying to get to 500,000. And so I want to see us make it. I know we can. Be sure to hit that button. And thank you guys so much for supporting what I do. And yeah, the Republican Party will always be running from these kind of stories until they finally pull themselves up by the bootstraps and stop embracing this type of rhetoric.